And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Oceanborn, we have the South Korean Zerg player. The red Zerg representing CranKy Z Gaming. It is Dark. The last remaining Zerg player in the tournament, and spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the blue Protoss representing Berlin International Gaming. Team Big. It is ShoWTimE. From Germany. Also, if you're a fan of Terran in the chat, I do apologize because the final Terran player has been eliminated. That was Gumiho in the semifinals. In those semifinals. Meanwhile, again, we still have Hero, of course, in those finals, and Dark repping that Zerg flag in the upper semis as well. So far, hatch first. It's going to be a hatch first opener here from Dark. Should be hatch gas pool. ShoWTimE, I'm curious to see how he does approach Dark as well. We are on a bit of a smaller map. ShoWTimE, he's known for his tech-heavy, more defensive styles. This is true. But at the same time, Dark, he is so willing to embrace the late game. As soon as he sees a Protoss player teching and turtling, Dark, he is so quick to take a 4, take up to Hive Tech, Vipers, Hydra Lurker Vipers specifically, and just picking the Protoss apart. So we'll see if ShoWTimE has a different approach, or if he does test his luck, test his mettle against Dark. I have to respond to a comment in the chat. Este no clue. Aye. But here we go. We have our racks. So you have a Gate Expand, Gate Cyber Expand here from ShoWTimE. Pretty standard opener from our Protoss player for the time being. We're still waiting to see our tech of choice. It should be a Stargate opener. There it is. Stargate has been thrown down from ShoWTimE, as to be expected here. Pretty standard opener from our blue Protoss player. I'm going to be moving across the map. Likewise, back at home, Dark just going hatch gas pool into a third base, pulling out a gas once he has enough for link speed. So a very standard opener here, very standard build from Dark. Likewise, you should be seeing an Oracle opener from ShoWTimE. When it comes to the Korean Protoss players, it has been very, very trendy to go for a Void Ray opener or even Phoenix to shut down the Overlord and to keep the Zerg player in the dark. But the reasoning for this is because a lot of the Korean Protosses are a lot more aggressive. They're a lot more aggressive, so they go a Void Ray or a Phoenix into hidden tech behind it, whether it's a Twilight Council or a second Stargate, a Fleet Beacon, a Robo. Like players like Hero, Classic, and Nightmare, they are just so aggressive in the mid game, which is why the Oracle opener has been a little bit less prevalent amongst the Koreans. I bring this up. ShoWTimE is not really that kind of player though. Is going for an Oracle opener. Should be triple Oracle into a third base, or an Oracle opener into a third base into additional Oracles. Again, ShoWTimE's playstyle, his more iconic playstyle, is to invest into, even, I believe he invests into 4 Oracles, if I'm not mistaken, into a third, into a delayed Twilight Council. He usually goes Forge and then Robo, into a delayed Twilight Council, into like Immortals, eventually into a Colossus heavy style with Disruptors, and you know, he eases into the mid and into late game. I'm not too fond of that style on Oceanborn. Specifically on this map, it's a very short rush distance by ground, so you can be quite aggressive and quite assertive. I think it's a little bit risky to delay your Twilight Council, so we'll see if ShoWTimE goes for, again, his iconic style, or if he does go for a much more standard follow-up instead, just to kind of respect his opponent and the aggressive potential of Dark. Meanwhile, we have our 2 Oracles for now. We're going to be dipping into that third. Queens are in position, though. No Spore, but we do get quite a lot of damage dealt to that first Oracle. It looks like the Oracle is going to go down. 2 drones for 1 Oracle. Not worth it for ShoWTimE. Really good positioning from Dark. Very nicely done. Behind this, there's that Robo that we spoke about. There's the Forge. So, as we mentioned, this is a delayed Twilight Council. This is the iconic ShoWTimE style, where he delays his Twilight Council. He does focus on +1 upgrades and Robo production first. But again, I do feel like this is really risky on Oceanborn. We'll see if we can get away with it. And Eps, they're going to be shading in. They shade into the main base. threaten that mineral line as well, and we're going to get some damage done. Drones are going down. We cancel the shade. Oh, we got 3, we got 4 workers so far. Very nice damage from ShoWTimE. His oracles may have failed, but the adepts, they are just wreaking havoc. 10 drone kills, and just like that, ShoWTimE has done enough economic damage to be able to feel safe back at home. Ah, little does he know, he's forcing it all in. This is another thing that's very... Oh god, the oracles! They do not scout. They barely do not scout the tech. I was gonna say, usually, whenever we see Dark against Hero, this happens very often. If Dark takes too much damage, I do not believe this was the initial plan. I do not believe this was the initial plan, but if Dark does sustain too much economic losses, he is so willing to double down and start up like Overlord speed and go for Dropper Lords, or throw down a Nidus and go all in. This is a reaction to losing so many drones. And I worry for ShoWTimE. I mentioned before, because he skipped his Twilight Council, because it's so delayed, there's no blink. There's no blink for this defense. He is being very tech heavy here. Now, he does have an Immortal. He has Sentries from Force Fields. He's soon to have a second Immortal. But this defense is going to be tight. It's going to be a close defense here for ShoWTimE. He needs to rely on his stack defense. Cannons, shield batteries are on the way. We're leapfrogging forward here with these Nidus Worms. First Nidus is going to be focused down the Lings. They're looking to dive in. Bar's going to be connecting. Cannon goes down. Shield battery gets denied. The Queens are exposed. They can't transfuse. One Queen goes down. Clutch transfuse towards the end. We have a second Immortal. Good force fields. Good force fields from ShoWTimE. Does keep the army at bay. Another cannon goes down, but we are baiting out those Ravager Vials. Here we go. We're diving on forward once again. We pop the overcharge. But the Vials will focus it down. Oh, it stays alive. And we're running out of Lings. As we run out of Lings, ShoWTimE is that much closer to holding. He's that much closer to defending as well, and it looks like he is forcing this back. He is mustering up an army. He's now up to 3 Immortals. 3 Immortals to defend. Yeah, he has more than enough at this point. He has held on. He has defended. And Dark, he has to back off. He has to back off. And now Dark is in a really brutal position. Dark is now behind economically. He did not break the third. He was hoping to deal some economic damage. He was hoping to get something done here. All he really did was kill the structures, shield batteries and cannons. That's all he really gained. I'm loving the stack defense here on the high ground as well. It'll help deal with the Nidus Worm as well as defend the mineral line. Really good stuff out of ShoWTimE. And this is where ShoWTimE really thrives. So the downside of, again, not having Blink and delaying the Twilight Council, you can't really be active, you can't really be aggressive. But look at this army. We have 4 Immortals now. We have a Templar Archives on the way for Archon production. ShoWTimE, he's gotten away with a lot. Yeah, this makes sense from Dark. We're going into Swarm Hosts. So Dark is behind. Straight up, he's behind. Swarm Hosts are a way to come back, just because they are quote-unquote energy-based units. They have free units, basically, so they can gain a lot of value over time. Over time, though, the first wave of Locusts is very important here for Dark. He has to pick off a base, pick off some tech, trade with the army. He needs to gain value with this. If he doesn't, then ShoWTimE is going to snowball out of control. Here we go. Storm Hosts are on the way. Nidus has been revealed. Ling's going to be distracting the main army, buying a little bit of time. Here comes the first Locust wave. Straight into the natural, and we can focus down the Nexus. What do we go for? We're going for the Zealots for the time being, and now we're going for the base itself, and we should be able to get it down. The DPS is just too damn high. The Nexus will fall. A good pickup, as we even get a couple of probes, and even some pylons. A good start for Dark. We can see ShoWTimE taking a 4th, long distance mining. And now, it looks like Dark is going to get away with the second Locust wave. ShoWTimE doesn't have enough to counterattack. He's waiting for +2, waiting for reinforcements, waiting for a War Prism. Another Nidus is on the way. Dark, he's gotten 1 base. Now he's looking for another. Now he could go back into the natural, deny this Nexus and get on top of the Robo. Or he could try to go for the 3rd, maybe even the 4th, which is a little bit riskier. Nidus is finishing here. The Prism is going to get eyes on those Swarm Hosts. Yeah, we're going to force out a premature Locust wave. Actually, we're getting us up with the Immortals. Good juggling here from ShoWTimE, keeping the Immortal alive. Dark has to commit. He has to... Oh my god, he has to engage. Does get 1 Immortal with the Vials, but the Locusts are running out. And Dark has to back off. The second Locust Wave, less than ideal. We got one Immortal, which was nice, but not much else. We got one Immortal, we got one Archon. The Natural's getting back up and running. But you can see that Dark has recovered. And again, this is the power of the Swarm Host. It's very risky. I was trying to put emphasis on it, but if the first Locust Wave, as I mentioned, if it wasn't able to get the base, then Dark would have been in a lot of trouble. Files going to be raining down on the army. Behind there's a big Zealot counter-tick here at the 4th base. Files are going to be connecting as well. Here comes the Locust from the right-hand side. Bit of an awkward wave here of Locust. We get on top of one Archon. We're trying to get on top of another as well. We do get them. Oh my god, big pickups. This army from ShoWTimE, very expensive, big losses. Oh my goodness, we pile down another Immortal. ShoWTimE losing 2 Immortals, 3 Archons. We take the Biles to the face. Oh my god. These are some brutal trades for ShoWTimE, just walking into those Biles. He's juggling nicely. He's focusing down the Ravagers, don't get me wrong. But behind this, we have more Roaches. We have the Locust Wave. Getting ready to go in once again. It has reset just in time. And ShoWTimE has overextended. This time he doesn't have the help of the shield batteries or the cannons. He doesn't have any stack defense. And he's being cut off. He is being cut off by these Locusts. They catch reinforcements. The main Roach army having to kite back against the Zealots. For the Locusts, they catch 2 Archons. Again, just so much value for these Swarm Hosts. Here we go. We're getting ready for another wave. We want that natural base once again. And here we go. We're getting ready for it. Again, ShoWTimE just having a really hard time trading, engaging, just losing too many high-value targets. Too many high-value units here. The Immortals are doing well in the back line, but here comes another Locust Wave, and we focus on the Nexus. We couldn't even get the Robo this time. We could go for the Robo. It looks like we will get it. Robo goes down. And if I'm not mistaken, yep, there was only one Robo producing for ShoWTimE, which means what you see is what you get. No more Immortal production. Throughout all of this, Dark has been saturated on 4 bases. He has a low economy, a low worker count, true. But tech-wise, Lurker Den is on the way. Hive is on the way. He's getting ready to transition to Hydra Lurker Viper. The end game is near for Dark. Nidus going to be shut down. But again, ShoWTimE, he just cannot rebuild. Not anymore. He has a 3-base economy as well. Hasn't rebuilt his natural. Hasn't been able to get back into that. Here we go. This time the Locust rotating over towards the left-hand side. We're looking for a dive on this fresh mining base. We could go for the army from behind or go for the base itself. Yeah, we're going for the Nexus. And ShoWTimE is all in. At this point, ShoWTimE is all in. Like, he cannot save this. He might be able to with the overcharge. It's going to be close. Going to be trading with the army. Oh, here we go on the front lines. The Biles! Oh my god. Once again, we take the Biles to the face. Not like this. Oh my god. Those Biles are going to be connecting. It looks like we do save the Nexus in the end. Just barely. Did sustain some hull damage. But the Zealots were able to buy enough time. This hatchery is going to be going down, by the way. Dark, even though he's maxed out, he does have inflated supply. So in a head-to-head fight, it's still going to be close. But Dark is expanding elsewhere. A safer base to take here on the right-hand side. Just because it's further away from the Protoss. And here comes another Locust Wave. And we're going to be engaging with the army. At least ShoWTimE is in position, so we're going to trade with mainly Zealots. Can we pick off an Immortal? Oh, we're burning through the Zealots. Yeah, we only trade with Gateway units. So a decent trade from ShoWTimE, but he's still trading against free units. That's the problem here for ShoWTimE. Have another Locust, another Swarm Host. Swarm Host? Nidus. So you go for some Swarm Host harass. There's that transition. Hydras are on the way. Eventually Lurkers. Eventually those Lunkers as well. Nidus Squirms, they just do not stop. Lurker range in production plus 3 attack as well. We have a Prism in the main, but we have Queens in position as well. Well, Zealots are going to be diving on top of this Nidus Swarm. The Stormhosts are exposed. The Zealots forcing out the Locust Wave. Very nicely done here by ShoWTimE. He's buying time. He's slowly closing that gap when it comes to supply. Meanwhile, the Locust Wave coming back into the natural. This time, ShoWTimE is kind of in position. Forces a recall even. And ShoWTimE, he's recovering. He is heavily oversaturated, don't get me wrong, but he is slowly recovering, catching some units. Here we go, Darky's going straight for that Nexus. Can he focus down the base? He may have enough DPS. It's going to be close. He does get the Nexus, but what will it cost him? ShoWTimE, he's diving on top of the army. There's going to be an expensive trade here for Dark. He's losing a lot of Roaches. He's losing some of his Ravagers. Biles, they connect with that. Oh, with the Observers. The Biles. Oh my god. Once again connecting. Grazing the army. Here comes another Locust Wave. This time it will get the base. The problem is, the longer this goes on, the more likely that Dark is to make some Lurkers. And defensively, Lurkers are king. They're going to be able to shut this down. Get a gateway. Don't get the base this time. But ShoWTimE just cannot keep up with this. Dark is just being far too active. And the problem is that, like, ShoWTimE can't go all in. He doesn't have enough. Like, he lost the base earlier. Like, he just doesn't have enough of an army to really commit. One of the Immortals! No! We get one! Do we get two? We do. Two Immortals go down. Big pickoffs. It looks like ShoWTimE setting up a surround, though. Gets a couple of Hydras. I'm still waiting for the Lurker production. We're still not there yet. There it is. 6 Lurkers all the way to the Biles! Oh my god. Biles do connect. 6 Lurkers are in production. And here comes another Locust Wave. And ShoWTimE, he's just being pulled apart left and right over and over again. And this time, we gotta commit. There's no turning back. Locust Wave is on cooldown. ShoWTimE can maybe make this push work, but does he have detection? The answer is no. No detection. Lurkers are in position, which means ShoWTimE cannot push in. This is Dark's win condition to force the all-in into Lurkers. ShoWTimE is trying to rotate around. Observers on the way, but even if he had an Observer with the army to begin with, there are just too many Lurkers. What do we do? How do we push in? We don't. ShoWTimE is stuck, denying a 5th when he's stuck on 2 bases. Like, essentially a 2-base economy. Another Locust Wave coming out. Oh my god, that's so many probes. Oh god. Engage with the army. Nidus going to be going down. Once again, ShoWTimE is forced back home. The Stasis Traps do catch some of the Lurkers. But the positioning, we get on top of the high ground. We outposition ShoWTimE, pushing up a ramp into a concave. ShoWTimE may be able to break through, but this is a brutal trade for the Protoss, and he's going to lose everything. Oh my god. GG gets called, and Dark will take game number 1. Whew. GG. That was a game. GG, well played. Initially, ShoWTimE was in a good position. Initially, ShoWTimE was able to open up and was able to deny the all-in. ShoWTimE had a better economy after the failed all-in of Dark, where ShoWTimE was able to kill, what, 10 plus drones, was able to force the all-in and able to deflect it beautifully. But the follow-up, the Swarm Host, that was really the MVP there for Dark. He was able to pull ShoWTimE apart left and right, able to just abuse the immobility of ShoWTimE, especially early on, because of the delayed Twilight Council, delayed Blink, you know, not too many Blink Stalkers to begin with. I mean, I believe he went charge first. It was a really good way for, again, Dark to abuse the army composition of ShoWTimE as well. And again, that first Locust Wave doing so much damage. ShoWTimE could never really push out, could never really engage. GG. GG, well played. And with that, we're getting into game number 2. We're looking to see if we can force an ace match. Esther, no Terrence. Pain. Catching up in the chat. Except for the puppet. True, the puppet is the MVP. But here we go. Spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Hecate, we have our South Korean Zuriga player representing Dragon KaiZ Gaming, leading the series 1-0. It is Dark. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the German Protoss, the Blue Protoss representing Team Berlin International Gaming. It is ShoWTimE. I hear Papa Panda down the hallway while I'm sleeping outside. Ah, Papa Panda, beautiful. Ay. But yeah, for now we're just settling into this, and ShoWTimE, he had a really good start. So to wind it back a little bit, again, I want to praise ShoWTimE's early game. Remember, with ShoWTimE's early game Oracle and Adept Harass, he killed so many drones that he forced the all-in out of Dark, and even then, ShoWTimE defended beautifully against the all-in as well, only losing shield batteries and cannons and a handful of gateway units. It was a good start for ShoWTimE in game 1, a good start, but the follow-up was where ShoWTimE was lacking a little bit. Dark correctly identified that because of the opener and the build of ShoWTimE, he couldn't really keep up and deal with those swarm hosts either, and ShoWTimE, he was just stuck defending back at home, was never able to counterattack and really assert himself. Dark was all over him, but there was also so much pressure on Dark to get damage done because he was behind economically. It was a wild game. It was a wild game, and with that, we find ourselves with Dark with a 1-0 lead, but now we're getting into game number 2. Game numero dos. And if ShoWTimE were to play the same style, we spoke about it earlier, the iconic ShoWTimE style of going Oracle into a third base, into triple Oracle, into Robo Forge, delayed Twilight Council. It's very, I don't want to say it's very, it's pretty unique to ShoWTimE. Other players do whip it out every now and then, but ShoWTimE's in love with it. ShoWTimE, it's his iconic style. If he does it again here on Hecate, I do think he's going to have more success. Hecate is a little bit more defendable here on these 3 bases, eventually 4 bases. It is a little bit more spread out in a sense, yes, but if Dark were to try to go for something like Swarm Host again, ShoWTimE would be ready for it. He would be ready for it. Likewise on Hecate, the rush distance by ground is longer. It is longer. There's a lot more high ground, a lot more points of elevation to take advantage of, a lot more choke points as well. I do think that ShoWTimE can have a lot more success defending and maxing out on a map like this. So if ShoWTimE were to go for the same build, I wouldn't blame him. I would actually favor him. At least a little bit more. Meanwhile, Adepts are going to be threatening a shade. We have plenty of Lings out. We're actually making an extra wave of Lings as well, so Dark, we're going to be hyper aggressive here behind this. His goal is to delay the expansion for as long as he can. Third base is on the way. Dark could be spreading his creep, saturating his bases, getting everything set up. Meanwhile, the Lings, you can see they're looking for those Adepts. Alas, they are back at home, as the Oracle has been revealed. Again, it's going to be a Stargate opener into Oracles, into a third base. Everything is looking normal for the time being. Again, the follow-up is really what kind of determines the kind of build that ShoWTimE is going for, the kind of play style. We'll see if he delays his Twilight Council again. So we have the second Oracle moving out as well. Behind this, ShoWTimE should be going for another double warping of Adepts to get up to 5 Adepts, and then he's going to be harassing with 5 Adepts alongside 3 Oracles. That's typically how ShoWTimE does handle his early game. These Queens do zone away these Oracles. They're going to be stuck in between the bases. Meanwhile, we have our answer. We do not have a delayed Twilight Council this time. It's going to be a Forge, and the Twilight Council is a much more standard follow-up here. It should be for +1 and Blink. So ShoWTimE is going to be more active. With this, he can invest into Blink a lot earlier, of course. He can invest into his Stalkers. He can go for a Gateway Explosion and, yeah, be a lot more assertive. Meanwhile, the Oracle gets in. We get 1 drone at the 3rd. Adept shaded as well, but the Lings are waiting. Oh, this time, Dark shuts this down. 3 drones fall, but we clean up the Adepts. have additional depth shading out. Oracles try to escape. So far, good target firing just before the Spore finishes, but we do focus out one of those Oracles. And we get a surround on the Adepts as well. And we have to take stock. Looking at the units lost tab. 5 Adepts, 1 Oracle for 5 drones. Oh, that is not a good trade. Not a good trade here for ShoWTimE. Dark shuts this down, going for a big counterattack. We do have confirmation it's not charged, it is blink. And we confirm the amount of Stalkers as well. So, upon seeing all these Stalkers, as opposed to last game where we had an Immortal and Sentries, Dark should have a better idea of what the build itself is. Should be a lot more aware of the Blink Stalkers. Behind this, we have +1 range on the way, Roach Speed. Ooh, a really early infestation, but this is a greedy move here from Dark. With this, we gain access to the Hive. We also gain access to Swarm Hosts, but against a Blink-based opener, Swarm Hosts are a lot less effective, so I'm hoping we don't really invest into that this time. Yeah, the Mass Stalkers have been revealed. There's the Gateway Explosion. 4 gates are on the way, in addition to the 3 that we already have, so 7 gates in total. We are going to be transitioning. Meanwhile, we have the Nidus on the way. Are we going into Swarm Host again? That'd be crazy. I mean, we're still investing into Roach Speed, though. I'm curious where Dark takes this as we do get the revelation. We do get eyes on the Infestation Pit. And there it is. We're going Swarm Host. Oh my god. Dark, he's in a mood. Last game, it made sense because Dark was behind. This time, Dark is in a better position. So, the Swarm Host is a little bit interesting to me. I'm a little bit perplexed. So the reason why I say that Swarm Hosts are going to be less effective against Blink Stalkers are a lot more mobile, and it's going to be a lot easier for ShoWTimE to keep up with these Nidus Worms. But for the time being, the army is being lured out into the open, and this Nidus is going to finish. The Oracles, they will come across this. The Swarm Hosts have arrived. We're going to be able to focus some of them down. There we go, the Nidus wave, the Locust Wave on the way here from the Nidus. Getting on top of the gateways. Not trading against the army. Again, we have blinks, so we are able to avoid most of the damage. Ooh, 2 Stalkers go down and 1 gateway at the same time. The Link Roach here on the right-hand side is going to be harassing, but ShoWTimE is keeping up. And this time, the first Locust Wave doesn't do enough. This time, again, he gets a gateway and 2 units. And you can see ShoWTimE is looking, he's hunting for these Nidus Worms. Again, a much better defense this time due to the build of ShoWTimE. He's having a much easier time keeping up. Again, I do think this was a little bit stubborn of Dark. But what I will say is that Dark, he is investing into Ling Roach Ravager. Like, he's trying to get out of the Swarm Host and into Roaches instead. Gets another gateway. You see another Nidus Worm has been found here by ShoWTimE. Doesn't deny it, but does get eyes on it. And Dark is going to be committing. He's getting into a lot of these Stalkers. Meanwhile, the Nidus on the left-hand side is going to be shut down. Nidus on the right is going to complete. And here we go. Dark, he wants to commit here with half a wave of Locusts. Stalkers are taking a lot of damage here from the main army. There we go. We get into the mineral line as well. Overcharge is popped. Lings are being cleaned up. Can we get the base? We're going for the Nexus. Can we get it? Oh. It looks like we cannot. Nexus will stand strong. A lot of Roaches, a lot of Ravagers going to be going down, but ShoWTimE has been trading with Stalkers. And looking at the battle report here, that was 15 Stalkers going down. For what? For mainly Lings and a handful of Roaches, 11 Roaches. I would say a better trade for Dark, but he doesn't have the best economy. Dark, he's only on 68 workers. This is 3 base saturation, essentially, from Dark. He doesn't really have the economy to sustain these trades. Oh. Again, Dark, he is up in supply, but it's a little bit deceptive. It is mainly Roach Ravager. And still trading with the army, though. Trading with these Stalkers. Can he break through? He's getting a lot of Stalkers. He's gaining ground. Cannons are falling. The base getting very low as well. We have the overcharge. And here comes a Locust Wave to help support. That's a lot of Locusts. They do get baited out, though. It looks like we will get the base. So Nexus falls. A very necessary pick off here from Dark. Behind this, Lurkers. Lurker Den is on the way. Hydras as well. Dark once again trying to transition into Hydra Lurker Viper. He did break the 4th, which is very important. If it wasn't for this, ShoWTimE would be closing the gap in supply. 100%. He'd be able to get up to, what, like 160, 170 supply at this point. And even now, the Stalkers are getting very assertive. A good concave from ShoWTimE, getting into the mineral line, picking off what little drones are left. Again, we didn't really have much of an economy to begin with. These are expensive losses for Dark. Down to 62 drones. He's re-droning. Locust Wave was forced out. At the same time, a Zealot run by being set up on the left-hand side. Dark doesn't have as much map control as he once did. The Hydras and Lurkers will help, but does he have anything in position? He's got some links. He's got a handful of links in position. Swarm hosts are on a bit of a trip. They're on a bit of an excursion out on the map. The Zealots, they come across the Lurkers. The Lurkers will defend the natural. They have been revealed. And we get a massive Locust Wave across the map. And what can we get done? We can get on top of the Robo. That's a second Robo on the way as well. We're going for the Cybercore, actually. Okay, I can get behind it. Cybercore goes down. No more Stalkers. We get one more Gateway as well. Not a bad pickoff. But again, you can see that ShoWTimE, he's now re-established that 4th. As soon as he has, you can see only down 30 supply at this point, and ShoWTimE does have the more efficient army. That was the case until the Swarm Hosts arrived. The Swarm Hosts... Sorry, Swarm Hosts? Sorry. Lurkers, what I meant to say. I stopped myself from saying Locusts instead of Lurkers, and I went the other way. Lurkers have arrived, and that will add a little more complexity to the army of Dark. We have Lurkers to defend, Stalkers coming in from behind. It looks like we're just weaving our way through the army. But too many Hydras. Too many Hydras are in position. Dark sending out another Locust Wave here to that 4th base. The army out of position. We're going for the Nexus. We're going for the mineral line. Lurkers dishing out a lot of damage here, but the Lurkers are exposed. A lot of workers are going down. 10 probe kills, but we're getting on top of the Lurkers. At the same time, it costs us every single Immortal. That was not a good trade here for ShoWTimE. He lost his Immortals, lost his Archons, and it looks like Dark has done it. He has broken through at the same time. Across the map, ShoWTimE, he shuts down the 4th base. Dark economically is hurting, but Dark has an army. And ShoWTimE still mainly relying on Blink Stalkers. ShoWTimE, no Colossus, no Archons, no Immortals. Again, in that last fight, 5 Archons went down. ShoWTimE is just running out of units, running out of steam, and Dark, he's wedging himself in between the natural and the 3rd. And he's depowering the Robos. And Artosis pylon, Locust Wave gets into the main base, taking down some of these gateways. And even if ShoWTimE forces this back, the damage has been done. Yeah, these Lurkers are going to be cleaned up. A good fight here for ShoWTimE. He cleans up all the Lurkers. But he lost 10 workers. His Robos were depowered. Gateways went down as well. Expensive losses. We still have that one Hydra in the main. 14 probe kills. Dark may not have an economy, but he does have an army. Does have an army here. How many Lurkers? We've got 6 Lurkers, 12 Swarm Hosts, 26 Hydras. Once again, wedging ourselves in between the bases. There is no Storm. ShoWTimE setting up a surround, actually. He's got a lot of Stalkers here on the right. He's got Archons towards the left. The surround is just going to be collapsing on this army. But the Stalkers are a little bit late to the party. Archons are going down. Stalkers, they come in from behind. But GG is going to get called here. It's just too much Zerg. And Dark will take the series 2-0, advancing on to the grand finals. GG. GG, well played. A solid series there out of Dark. ShoWTimE had a much better response to the Swarm Host this time. In game number 2, he was able to have a much stronger mid-game, But eventually, ShoWTimE, he was losing his 4th base a little bit too much. He was losing too much of his economy, and ShoWTimE could not sustain himself. Just barely, though. Just barely couldn't sustain himself. Just barely he was losing his 4th again and again. And ShoWTimE did end up falling here to Dark. I think a big reason for this, the momentum was swinging more and more in favor of Dark when he got his lurkers. Before then, ShoWTimE, he was minimizing his losses. He was keeping up with the Swarm host, with the Locust waves. ShoWTimE was holding his own. But then when the lurkers arrived, ShoWTimE just wasn't really set up for it. He wasn't ready for it. Didn't have the production, didn't have the army composition for it, and did struggle. Did struggle in the end. GG, well played. With that, we are getting ready for the grand finals. We are getting ready for Dark versus Hero. Let's go.